p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is we are in the mountains. Mountain Standard Time. That's going to end pretty soon, from what I understand. We are going. I guess we're getting rid of daylight savings time or something. This next year we'll be on the same schedule as Arizona. So I've always wanted that to happen. To be honest, if you think about as a builder, if you suddenly have a change in time, that really throws you off in your whole schedule. But if you go with the change of the light as it goes during the course of the year, I'm always a big fan of that. I want to talk about something and get everyone started thinking, and my daughter's going to chime in on this. I know she is. I want to talk about the best qualities to look for in subcontractors, and also the worst qualities in subcontractors. And why am I bringing this up? Because it's important and it's a refresher. And sometimes we go through life and we just forget, oh, God, I should have known better. I shouldn't have hired that. I should have hired that person or something like that. My daughter's shaking her head like that. She knows what I'm talking about. So what I want everyone to think about, and I'm going to reiterate a couple of things here, and hopefully we can answer some questions. But really what I want to do is a plug for something that I think is very, very helpful, because I was, having lunch just a few minutes ago, a late lunch, and I cracked open a book that I remember reading. And you actually know the author of this book. It's called Fake Optimists, The 3 People to Fire and the 3 People to Hire. And, I forgot I wrote that book. And in that book, it talks about 3 qualities of people that you really want to avoid. And I want to kind of talk about those 3: a staged personality, an intimidating personality, and an irrational personality. And when you run into these people, you know it right away. The staged person, they can tend to talk. They talk too much. They talk up a storm. They're great salespeople. And then they'll use intimidation. But the book is really, really effective in helping you see character traits and qualities of character that you really want to look for in subcontractors. So I'm going to ask my daughter, what's the worst quality that she has found in subcontractors, and how that's a red flag? When you see this quality and it surfaces, oh my gosh, it's a red flag. So what would that be, Mackenzie?
Well, the worst, that's hard. I think the worst is just not communicating, where I've reached out multiple times. I've called, I've texted, I've left emails, and just no reply. And not even like, hey, I'm on a project right now. I'll touch base with you when I'm done, like this afternoon. I'll touch base with you in the morning, not even a follow-up. That's the biggest red flag to me. And I'll always tell my dad this, because we've had a couple subs and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I need constant communication. I need to be able to call them when I need to hurry and change something, or if something comes up and we got to hurry and rearrange the schedule because things happen. And that's the biggest red flag to me, is if they're not communicating with me and they're not answering my calls, texts, or emails, like not answering any one of those. That's a huge red flag. And my second red flag is I can tell a lot by a company just based off their estimate and their invoices, how professional they are. It actually tells a lot about a sub just by looking at their invoice. Like if they have their company on it, if they have the date, if they have an invoice number, if they're breaking out costs, or if they're just have, some subs will just have a number and no description. And I'm like, what is this? What are you bidding? Like if I didn't know you, I wouldn't know what this is. So those are my 2 biggest red flags. Communication and actually the back end work on how they invoice and bid. So.
Yeah, you've heard me talk about the front of the house and the back of the house, and you can meet a guy on the job site. He can run a crew and he's great, but when he opens up a business and he doesn't have a back of the house operations, it really shows and it starts to suffer. We had our first lien on a home in 24 years that we had to clean up. It was just some products from a supply house that a subcontractor ordered. And if you don't know, supply houses are the most on top of that because they send supplies to jobs all the time, especially lumber yards. And so there was $250 that was applied to a client's job, and we called him. He had to get it cleaned up. Come to find out that they charged us a $250 fee to release that lien on top of that. And so when things like that happen, obviously we're not using them anymore. And people change. People change all the time. They were great on a job there, and they were great for a couple of years there. And I was talking about this in my networking this morning because it was a real big issue. A lot of people having a problem with this, that when there's prosperity, people's quality just kind of goes the way of the dodo because they have all this work and things are great and they can pick and choose what they want. But when times are tough, guess what happens? Cream rises to the top, and a lot of the people who didn't care about their quality because there's plenty of work anyway, they're not getting work. So my daughter and I are experiencing this right now with a lot of different subcontractors. How many deep do we typically have in each subcontractor trade, Kinsey?
Well, 2. Well, we like 3, but right now we have 2 deep.
2.
Sub.
And so we're reassessing that. And in some of those areas, we want 3 for sure. For subcontractors that take weeks and weeks to get something done, because that's the nature of the concrete, weeks and weeks, framing, weeks and weeks. And so if you're not 2 or 3 deep, you can run into problems. But other subcontractors, they can come and punch things out in 2 or 3 days. And so you can trust on that to be maybe 1 or 2 deep. By that, I mean your bench. If you're a major basketball NBA team, you want a deep bench. You want a second string. You want those people to come on and play hard like your first string. So we've found that having those extra resources really, really, really helpful. My biggest red flag is they talk too much. When they spend too much time talking, and we've realized this lately, especially over texting in a way that's complaining or finding fault with somebody and this and that and pumping themselves up, blaming somebody else. That's just such a huge red flag. And like my daughter said, when I see bids come in and there's no inclusions and exclusions, no opportunities for here's a different grade if you want to go that, then it's this, and if you want to include this is how much more it is. They don't spend the time to really go through that in detail. That really hurts and makes it difficult for a builder, because let's say somebody comes in and says, I'll frame your home and I'll do it for $12.50 a square foot. Okay, does that include blocking it? Does it include boxing in of HVAC systems? Does that include all the other miscellaneous details of it? Will you install the windows and will you not install the windows? So we can't even say yes to stuff like that if we don't know in advance who that person is. So if you're brand new and we have people on here that are looking to go into the trades, looking to be a general, looking to be a subcontractor, looking to be an independent contractor, we find a lot of those on our channel. And if you're going that route, message us, let us know that you might be interested. I've been doing videos on the site. I haven't launched anything yet, but I've been thinking about having another channel called How to Be a Contractor. And it could be a subcontractor, independent contractor, all that, because I've seen a lot of owner builders make that transition. And we want to kind of make an opportunity to help people out. Let's answer some questions real quick. And I want to come back to this because I want to talk about some of these other qualities. And you can find the book. I gave a link. It's there at the top. It's on Amazon. It's a really quick read. There's some great reviews on it. Please leave a review. But it's a quick, very skinny book. It's got a lot of narrative to it. And it will really, really help you out. I haven't mentioned this in a long time. I've had a lot of students who used it. It was very helpful. Let's go ahead and read. I'll have you read this one, Kens.
Okay. Yo, need help. We would love to have metal roof as our pitch is 2.5 by 12. Quotes in Southern California are $13 square for one hip roof. Square footage is 2,800 square feet. Do you know anyone we can use that is reasonable?
We'll factor that out. The 13 times 100, really, that's nuts. That's 1,300 a square. So we can get roofing done between, what is ours, between 350 and maybe 475 a 10 by 10 square on a roof. That's really, really high. And when I talk with people in Southern California, I say, go out to the outlying areas, to the Inland Empire, to the far outside, into even to some of the desert areas, Lancaster, Barstow, when you go further out, and even call some roofing companies further north and further north in California and the Inland Empire. See if you can't get someone to come and bid your stuff. That's kind of the material on that is probably 175 to 200. That's real high, a square. So a 10 by 10 section. So typically on labor, you're between 40 and 50% of the cost of anything is labor, but that's more than double that. That's 3-4 times what the actual material costs are. And I don't know why they can get away with such high labor costs, because I know that the material cost is the same, other than maybe some taxes that are increased. Other than that, they're pretty much the same.
But we don't
further out.
We don't have a contact in Southern California, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just get more bids.
I've had some people look. They look in Idaho, Nevada, other places like that. I really have had students do that, and they say, "Will you come roof my thing, and I'll just pay you labor, straight up labor." And I said, "Okay." And they still made more money, but she got a big savings. So don't be afraid to call and see what happens. Okay. Good question. Spice Dragon, I'll read this one. Installation contractor says the window company doesn't use window door foam to seal a framing gap due to potential warranty being voided. I've never heard of that.
Thank you.
They also don't offer blow-in mineral wool in the attic as a service, only inside the walls and crawl space. Thoughts? Yeah, you can use what's called the foam tube that you can get in a box store. What's that called? You know what I'm talking about, Kins?
Yeah, like
backer rod. It's called backer rod, and you can get it in 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and whatever. And it's usually gray, and it's in a tube, and it's circled like that. You can actually push that right inside that window, and then painters can come in and caulk that right after when you're all done, said and done. But I've never heard anyone say that that's going to void the warranty on windows. What kind of window are you getting? So every window I've ever installed, we've installed closed cell foam from the can to install those windows. And then as for the wool in the attic as a service, well, a lot of them blow in mineral wool. I don't know if there is a blow in mineral wool, to be honest with you. Because it's such a rigid product, it may not go through the blower like fiberglass would. So I might understand that. But I wouldn't recommend mineral wool in the attic per se. It's really hard to get in there, even if there are 30 thick bats. I just go with some nice net and blow product. The white stuff, fiberglass. And you can get that in up to 24 inches thick in your attic. So don't feel like you have to have mineral wool in your attic unless you want to go crazy and you want to insulate the deck, and that's a whole different story. But just regular insulation, blowing, use the regular stuff for that. Okay, good question. Okay, Kinsey, I'll let you do that one.
Harry in Aspen, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Do you use Builders First Source and the digital tools resources they offer? I'm not familiar with that. No, we don't.
I'll explain why. I've used them before. I've used Builder Trends. I've used a couple of others that I'm familiar with when I was helping other builders, and they charge anywhere from $600 to $1,200 a month. So we have a really good system in place. We document everything. We're pretty good at it. Those are some nice tools, but to be honest with you, it's not worth the money. I'd rather buy another track or another piece of equipment and get more money out of that, get a return on my investment, than to use any of those programs. And they call me. They call us all the time wanting us to use the program. If we suddenly scaled up to maybe 12, 15, 20 homes at a time, then it has an economy of scale where it's system up. It creates better systems for workflow, because when you change a schedule, it follows the gap procedure. So when you change the schedule on something, everybody else gets notified. The problem is that subcontractors don't want to use the platform. So they'll get notified, but they won't go into the system and change their schedule. So you're still having to call, you're still having to text, you're still having to do all that stuff to have that hands-on one-on-one feel with subcontractors. But it does help document change orders. It helps document a lot of those things. When you take a picture, it uploads it specific to an area in the build job. And so there's a lot of value to it. I just can't see spending that money for my business right now. So any thoughts, Kenzie, on that?
Oh, that was good.
Okay. I'll let you read that one.
MG, I saw your driveway gravel video. Have you worked with the plastic grids they lay and fill with gravel to contain the gravel? Can you pour tar over the gravel to stabilize it or help contain it? We haven't done the plastic grids. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kenzie.
No, you got it. You got it.
Okay. There's some new polymers that are coming out that you mix with the gravel, and I've seen those. The plastic grids are put on there, and they use it for lawns too, where you can drive over the lawn, and so it helps stabilize the lawn, and it keeps the gravel from getting pushed out. And I haven't used some of those. I've seen them a lot. I do a lot of custom homes, patio homes that are all slab on grade, and they all have driveways and stuff like that. And I've some of my mountain builds are gravel, but I found that if I use a cinder product, which is a volcanic ash product in a way, it doesn't kick up dust, first of all. And if I put at least 2 to 3 inches on it, it doesn't puddle and create a mud bog. So my favorite product is kind of a cinder ash product from a volcanic rock, if you can get it. Next is a jagged granite. But I don't like anything rounded or pea gravel because it just sinks in the ground and you have to keep replacing it. It's not fun. As soon as you get a really big rainstorm, it's getting pushed into the ground, which is why those grids are there to keep all the gravel in place. But by the time you spend all the money for that, why not just put asphalt? But by the time you put asphalt, why not just brick paver the whole thing? I don't like concrete driveways, never have. They have a place. They're needed in some situations. But if I had my druthers and I put it on every home, I put brick pavers on everything because they're so easy to maintain. They're 7 times stronger than concrete. They take the porous nature of water and they allow it to percolate through the ground, and it's just beautiful. And if you ever have a single problem in a single area, it's easy to fix, and you don't have any cracks like you do in concrete. And if you do have one brick that's cracked, that's easy to take out, replace it, put a new one in there. It's the longest lasting driveway you could ever put in, as long as it's done right. If you've got some bad soils, you need to be.
It looks so good, and it's classy.
Yeah, it looks really good, and it's really hard to find installers in your area. Sometimes you have to go to a faraway area, and typically those are in higher end neighborhoods. But it doesn't have to be that way. look at the numbers. Please look at the numbers on that. They're not as costly if you really look at it closely than, say, asphalt. Asphalt, you're going to have to treat that in 6 years, 6 years' time. So, good question, though. Yo, how much should I expect to pay for 3,400 square feet for stucco and drywall? That's a good one. I'll let Mackenzie answer that one. She sees the
3,400 square feet, depending on your area too. Your stucco around 30,000, and drywall. Yeah, drywall. I'd say stucco is around like between 25 and 30,000. But drywall, do you have like vaulted ceilings? How tall are your ceilings? It's yeah, there's lots of variables in that, but I can see that being around like 35,000, 40,000, a little bit more.
Yeah, the stucco would be more than the drywall.
Oh, the stucco?
Right.
Yes. Yeah, yes, the stucco. Sorry, I had those backwards. The drywall would be like between 28 and like 25, 30, and then your stucco would be, yeah.
Correct.
A little more.
Correct.
Yeah.
Something like that. Get more bids though. Okay, Peyton, adding on to McKinsey, how do you handle a contract that does great work but texts bids, no exclusions, etc.?
Wow. So that's just like, okay. We have
framers like McKinsey.
Okay, because my favorite framer, and it's because he's loyal and I know his personality. I know who he is. Like, I have a history with him. He actually emails just a sentence to me, and that's his bid. And he's like, for this job, my bid is 45,000. But I love him. I've worked with him before. I will probably always use him because he's amazing and he's the best. And I completely trust him. He's amazing. So sometimes the quality out in the field trumps the back end stuff, for sure. There are situations where it does, absolutely. But
he doesn't overcharge us. He doesn't make back charges. Doesn't do anything like that.
Yeah, he is amazing. But all I'm saying is, for a first time, it's the first time you're using someone and they text you a bid and their back end stuff isn't very professional. That is more of a red flag, because but there are occasions, like my framer, who emails his sentence to me and tells me his bid. That's amazing. But I'm just saying, if you're going to use someone for the first time and you have no experience with them, that's probably a red flag. So,
yeah, that's why we think that there's room or a need out there for subcontractors to be better on their back end. And I think that if some of them had some experience and had some back end help, they could be even so much better. There's a lot of help that needs to happen out there in the field. So, good question, Peyton. Okay, Michael, bought Fixer Upper. How best can we plan the cost of remodel to add square feet? 900. Raise ceiling height from 8 to 10. Flat roof currently. Plan to add new 412 pitch roof, under roof square, 3,500 square feet. I can see why you want to raise the ceiling from 8 to 10. 8 is really not appealing at all. So I can see why you have to do that. It's the demo is the problem with remodels is you have to pay for a demo. And it's really hard. For example, they're demolishing a home just behind me here. All these homes are burned down. And if it's a demo like that, it's great. Bring in a great traco, destroy it, start new, but you have to hand demo it. Mm-hmm. And hand demoing a roof is really labor intensive. And so you can actually get a framer to get that bid out and just find out. The lumber is not much of a headache. It's the actual demoing. It's the labor.
Yeah. Your demo cost is going to be a lot more than any of the framing to put the roof back on and frame it out. And it might be more than the lumber and the framing labor. Demo Demo is usually a lot.
And find out how old the home is. If it's pre-1980, it may have some asbestos, and so you might run into that issue with local permitting office and dust fees and dust everything. And the 412 pitch, that'll be better than the flat roof for sure. But investigate this. I've dealt with students who were building in California and going on a second story, and they had to go vertical. It was the only way to grow. They couldn't go up or out because they had no room on their lot, so they had to go up. So if you're going to demo and it's going to be that extensive, why not throw another floor in? I'm just think about it, because if you're going to go that extensive on the demo, it may be that you just put a couple of spot footings in for additional support to hold a couple of things up above. I don't know. I haven't looked at the design, but I did this with a client, and he says, Keith, I have a family. My wife and I got remarried, and we had kids, and we needed a larger home, and they literally had to go vertical. So they found through an engineer and some designs how to go vertical, and so they just demoed the entire roof, threw on a whole new story on that thing, and it worked out for them. So again, that's a lot of investigation, a lot of engineering that you might have to figure out on that. But when you're going that extensive, I wouldn't put a roof on there that when it could be something more, like a flat roof, like trusses 18 inches high. It might be that you could throw in some attic trusses on there and get a whole bonus room in there. That's the way I think. How much room how many square feet can I grab? And if I'm suddenly grabbing more square feet, guess what happens? My cost per square foot goes down considerably. And so I'm actually grabbing equity in the home, and I'm not upside down in my home. So I did that for some clients a long time ago. Long story short, they couldn't qualify for an additional $14,000 because when we started to dig, we found a septic system on somebody else on their property. It was from the next door neighbor. So that cost us $14,000 without seeing it. I didn't have enough contingency back in those days. So the bank said, well, we can't qualify for more. I go, what if there's suddenly another 600 square feet for almost no cost? He goes, yeah, it appraised. That gave them an additional like $25,000. So we did that by creating these trusses that gave them more room. So grabbing square footage, that's a possibility on that particular home. Think about it. Okay, next question. Kinsey, I'll let you answer that one.
David Parker, have you ever built a second empire house with a concave roof? I've never heard of that. What's a second
empire house?
Is that a time?
Is that from the Foundation series from Isaac Asimov, which is on Apple right now? They have the second empire. I don't know it. Kinsey's looking it up. With a concave roof. I would never build anything with a concave roof. That's kind of a recipe for disaster.
Oh, it's an era. If I'm looking this up right, it's a style of architecture, right? And popular in the United States, 1860s to 1880s. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. But what?
Show something. Your laptop. Put your laptop up there, and I just want to take a look.
With the concave roof, I don't think you should do it with a concave roof, but if this is what I'm finding, that's beautiful.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But yeah. I would not. Okay. I wouldn't. I've never seen it with a concave roof.
Yeah, you can roof it with some products out there. It's just not easy. Anytime you have water puddling, you're going to have a problem with that. But yeah, interesting. I've never built a house like that. No, I haven't.
I want to build a house like that, though.
She wants to build a house like every Disney.
What?
Okay, next question.
Okay, Hannah Banana.
Okay, this is for Kinsey.
Do you sign subs contracts, and should you pay for bids? Thank you, guys. Okay. Yes, so I usually have to sign their proposal. Sometimes some subs make you sign a proposal, and some don't. But we don't pay for. I've never had to pay for a bid. Different areas.
We charge
it might,
for ours, though.
well, that's a whole budget for a
Explain
house.
it. Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
We don't
But
ever give bids for free.
going off the plans.
Explain why we don't give bids for free.
You mean put a budget together for free?
Yeah. Explain why we don't give the
I'm
bids
going to
for
answer
free.
Hannah Banana's question. No, I think there's plenty of subs out there that don't charge, that want the work, that won't charge you to get you a bid. It's pretty quick for them. But as a builder, it takes us, so we have connections with, say, 30 plus subs that it takes to build a home, and to go through the work and to know what actually is required in your home and the permitting, and to get a budget for the whole scope of the home. We do charge a fee if someone wants to potentially build with us, and we have to put that together. We do charge a retainer to start that work, because we have to get a soils test. We have to know what the soil is like. And then we sometimes take them through the whole design process and engineering, and then we send it out to bid. So our process, it's like between 2 and 4 months, depending on how picky people are. And that's a lot of work to just do it for free. But our subs, they go off the plans, they measure real quick, they have their formulas that they use, and it's really quick for them. So I don't think, no, you shouldn't pay for bids. But like I said, there's plenty of people out there that want the work usually, and they would be happy to give you a bid for free to get the work. So that's 2 cents.
It's part of their job. And that's part of our job too. We include it in as part of the builder fee, but we charge an initial retainer up front, and then it's part of the whole fee. If they don't move forward with the budget after it's all done, then it's non-refundable. That's just, I think a lot of builders are moving in that direction, because I'm not a tire kicker. You either want me or you don't. And if you want me, good. Here's a retainer request, and we'll go at it. Good question, though. Next question. Michael, I'll read this one. Just bought 2 square of Permalog for our shed, and it came out to about $740 a square with drip edge caps, etc. This is not installed. No underlayment. $36,000 sounds reasonable for a metal roof installed. Yeah, that's probably because it was a retail situation, and you're in San Diego, and I can see that. As a builder, you can probably get a little cheaper if you get it in a wholesale situation. Probably get it closer to 600, even lower than that a square. But that's not bad for a roof that's going to last you forever, and it's not hard to put on, especially a shed roof like you're going to do. So, but yeah, that's pretty high on the material costs. So, I happen to know exactly how much it really is. So, good question. Good comment, Michael. Lynn, go ahead, kids.
I was looking into getting my license here in, where is that?
Maryland?
Maryland.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay. What's BT? Maryland. BT.
By the way.
But they require.
By the way, they require 2 years of either education or experience. I might get a year or so of experience building my house. What kind of classes should I take? Okay, that's a great question. So I don't know what it's like in Maryland, but you should join your local home builders association, because they actually, at least here in Southern Utah, they always offer free classes for all of their members, and they actually count it. They count it towards your application for your license. They'll keep track, and they'll help you through the process. So if you're about to build your house, I would highly recommend join your home builders association, and they'll help you get licensed. It's a great community. So that's where I would start for sure.
Yeah, just keep in mind you have to document that experience. If you're working under a GC, the documentation is your, what is that called? Your
Pay stub.
receipts of payment,
Pay stub.
pay stubs. And but like Kinsey's saying, if you have a local builders association who can help document that for you, all the plus. And then another thing to think about, if some of your subcontractors have GCs, and a lot of them do, plumbers I know could have a GC license and then they have a specialty in plumbing. I've seen that happen a lot. And so if they do, ask them, hey, can I work under you to do my own thing, and please, stuff like that. And you can gather some of that experience. And that's the hardest part, is the experience. And I'm glad to see that Maryland's keeping the 2 years experience. Didn't we get rid of ours in our state, Kenzie?
What? Our what?
I think we got rid of our experience in our state.
No, it's still 2 years experience. The only thing that changed is now the test is open book.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's changed between you getting your license and me getting my license. So
I
And we
had to
still
get 4 years
years.
experience.
Oh yeah,
when I
you
got
had to
my
have
license.
2, but we only have to have 2 in Utah. So
And I had to go uphill both ways in the snow. Just kidding. Good question though. Go after it. It's a wonderful thing to have, and it's not hard to keep for the rest of your life. And then you have a resource. Having a certification or a licensure or something like that is really powerful. And keep in mind, the biggest hurdle is your insurance, is covering yourself on your insurance. So keep that in mind. Good question.
I don't know if that's a question or not. Yeah, go ahead.
Calorie distance. So would it be bad practice to go straight to the subs? Is that morally wrong?
that what do you mean? Go straight to the subs for what? Are they talking bids? Because is there?
Does he mean going straight to the labor people in subcontracted employment, or? Let me tell you. I'll tell you something here that's interesting. This is a person. I don't know his number. I don't know his name. I'll kind of hide his number, but he sent me this today. He's just a laborer, and he's looking for tape and texture work. I do tape and texture. You need anything like that? And he's been sending me pictures. So I'm really good at what I do. Doesn't have a business, but he's looking for work, And so I'm not sure if you meant that, going straight to subs, and is that morally okay? If you want to pay cash, yeah, if you want to avoid taxes, whatever, and you can pay cash and you can do that to save some money and maybe help somebody else, that's fine. I wouldn't do it with the specialties, like the licensed stuff, like electricians and plumbers and HVAC. But a lot of the common labor, there's a lot of people out there that you can find, and pay them probably better than what they would with another employer. But you're going to deal with the scheduling thing, because they may only get them on the weekends and the evenings. So keep that in mind. If that's what you're saying, there's nothing wrong with that. You're engaging in contract, whether it's a verbal contract or a handshake. You're engaging in the ability to engage in contract. So keep that in mind. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Yes, very much.
This goes back to this.
Hey, Kenzie, you got that one.
John White, is that real stucco 3 with a dimple drainage mat and acrylic coating?
No.
Oh.
We, in our particular area, we have a double layer of paper, which is kind of a tar paper. And then we have 1 inch of foam. And then we have our lath product, which is all our J metal and flashing, and then wire mesh on top of that. Then it gets inspected. Then there's a gray coat, 1 single gray coat that has to cure for at least 7 days, and it has to be kept wet. And then they have a finish coat on top of that. So it's really 3 different applications. Now, some people do put 2 coats of the brown coat or gray coat in some areas, but not in our area. You may have a scratch coat, which is a little bit thicker for some rock application or something like that. And we don't use the dimple mats because the foam we put on is closed cell. So it's water impermeable. Water's not going to get all the way through to the substrate. It's going to go straight down, catch in the J channel and drip out at the bottom if there's ever going to be any water. So, but in some areas, like in California, they don't use the closed cell. And why? They got too much humidity, and that can back up through the home because there's no vapor drying out per se. And so all they have is literally the wire mesh, the paper, the wire mesh, and then they put the gray coat directly onto the wire mesh. There's no insulation factor. There's no polyiso. There's no nothing. But I am a strong believer in putting something behind that. If you can't put the polyiso, put the mineral wool. It's got the fibrous material in there. The gray coat just squishes in there, and all those fibers grab a hold of that mortar mix, and it's a really good bond. And then, of course, what you have behind there is vapor permeable versus the closed cell that is not. So why they don't do that in California, I don't know. Plus, it'd be fireproof on top of all that if they did it that route. I'm not a fan of stucco unless you really want to do it right, because it just looks terrible over time. I don't know why it is, but stucco can tend to look not that great over time. A lot of the J channel at the very bottom can rust, and that's not any good too. So, any comments on that, Kinsey?
Nope. We got lots of questions, so let's keep. We're gonna move to the next one. Matt Brunell. I'm having trouble with easements for electrical to my property. Neighbors explicitly said we'll never sign an easement. Is getting the utilities involved and going to legal route my option? Rogers Kai. Oh wow, rude, tough neighbors.
Let me answer this the best way I can. If you bought your parcel inside the subdivision, okay, that subdivision will typically have an easement notification written in the subdivision. It may not be recorded against their parcel, but it could be in the subdivision plat if there is a subdivision plat. If there's not a subdivision plat, then, and you have, if you have an actual driveway easement, then you should be able to get your power through the driveway, because you're saying here electrical. Find out a way to get electrical through that driveway. Some people are obnoxious, and it's just the way things are. They don't want something underground. I once had a guy, and he says, I don't want to do this. I'll tell you what, I'll pay $500. Here's the easement that he signed. He signed it. I gave him $500, and now my client's had an easement through his property. So sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a headache. But if you have access to the property, physical access, I'm trying to figure out why you can't put that power in that access. I think you're talking about overhead, and maybe that power is overhead or something. But I don't know the details of it. But you can ask around the power company and ask them, hey, what do you suggest I do? And to me, there's always a workaround. Just find a workaround. I wish I knew more, but I don't. John White, go ahead, Kinsey.
Do you buy your lumber or does your framer? We buy our lumber. So we work with the lumber yard, and we work with them directly, but then our framer is on our account, and he can always order anything he wants and have it delivered. But we usually always order our framer, always order our lumber.
Yeah, I've seen students who've sent me bids that included the lumber. And so I don't recommend that. Now, if you're really scared and you're uncertain, you don't know what the breakout's going to be for lumber, and maybe the framer's going to do that for you, and they're going to do your cut list for you. They may charge a fee for it, but you don't want them upcharging on the cost of lumber. You want all that transparent. So it's just really a matter of asking around and finding who's going to do the estimate on lumber packaging. So if your framer will do that for you, then you can take it to the lumber yard. They will get it to you. You don't need to pay any upcharge on lumber. Okay, good question. Go ahead, Kinsey.
Okay, Doug B. Brick paver driveways versus concrete. Are they difficult to scrape in a snowy area? We are building in Utah and haven't owned a house in a snow area before. Oh, put the snow melt underneath. Just kidding. That can be costly, but it is a feature that a lot of people do in northern Utah for sure. But I
did a very complex one. What's that?
What do you think about?
I did a very complex. You don't. It's not. Let me explain. I did a complex one, but we put a heating system underneath it, so it never had to be scraped. And they were worried about it being damaged. What you don't want to do is put salt on it.
That's what I just said. I asked you though, how hard would it be to scrape if you don't have the snow melt?
It's not hard.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, what you don't want to do is put salt on it, because that will destroy the brick pavers. If they're installed right and they're pretty flat, just like concrete is, then it shouldn't have a problem at all.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
Good question.
Go ahead, Kenzie.
Okay, sorry. JDS. Hi, thank you for your great info. I listen to you every Thursday when I'm delivering packages. I'm a UPS driver. Awesome. I've been lucky to do one new construction and finishing off my third ADU garage with your help. Awesome.
I just want to do
great job.
A shout out for him.
Yeah, great job.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Hey, Jay June, thoughts on particle board cabinets with melamine surface like IKEA? I'll let Kenzie make that comment.
No, you can
don't
comment.
it's not our favorite.
It's not our favorite, but sometimes like you just don't have a big enough budget and you got to do what you got to do. And that's okay. Okay. But it's not our favorite, but yeah. It
depends on the fascia, because that's just a box. And if the fascia is made of the same stuff, it's going to come apart. But typically you'll have a box, which could be particle board and melamine on the inside. And then they put a trim, which is a 3/4 trim on the outside. And then they put the doors on top of that. That trim is all solid wood. If it's not solid wood and it is particle board, or they are fastening the hardware to particle board, that's your problem. You don't want hardware trying to be fastened to particle board because it's not going to hold. You want all that separate. You want all the rigid wood for all the fastening of hardwood on the outside, that 3/4 inch trim, and the doors, all those attached to each other. So that's the trick. That's the real deciding factor, is how far they go with the particle board. And if it's just the box only, that's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jejin, is the cost savings of 26 GA metal roof worth it? Galvanized? Is that galvanized metal roof worth it? 26 gauge, 26 gauge metal roof worth it. It depends on where you are. If it's aluminum and you're on the coast, great. If you're on the coast and it's galvanized, that galvanized is not going to last very long. Galvanized metal is not guaranteed not to rust. It's going to last a little longer. And so it depends on where you are with your on the coast. Anyone on the coast that's not putting in a metal that is non-corrosive like aluminum, they're just going to be replacing that roof really, really, really fast. But if you're in a dry climate like Arizona or even the south part of Utah where we are, that's a very arid climate. It's not going to have a lot of corrosion. So it's really your climate. It really is going to dictate a lot for you. Good question. My son wants to be a framer. What's the best way to learn? Do you recommend the union? We don't have unions where we are. There are unions in Vegas, and there are unions in other places of the country. I would recommend working with a
home builders association and find
And
all sorts of subs go to their home builders associations. Go to the events. it is a great place to meet people, to ask questions, and people are always looking for laborers. So it's a great place to be like, hey, this is the route I want to go. Like, are you hiring? I would definitely recommend the home builder associations. Like ours, we have luncheons once a month. They do social events and service projects. So I would highly recommend going to your association and just networking. So
Network. Our family knows a lot about that. John White, when in building process, do you put your finished flagstone on a front door porch? Finished flagstone on a front. I wouldn't put flagstone on a porch at all. On the wall, yeah, but I wouldn't put it because it's uneven. It's not easy to walk on. Depending upon the weather you're in, that's going to be very hard to shovel snow if you're in that kind of an area. But a finished flagstone, if it's just on the step itself, I've seen a lot of people do that, but the actual step itself is either solid concrete or a solid something. So I'm not quite sure where you're using the flagstone.
But in the process, so anything, if it's on the floor, you want to wait till your whole shell is done, because things can drop, paint can get on it. So wait until your whole shell is done and then move forward with anything that's going to go on the ground, like your flat work and landscaping, if that's your question.
Yeah. Do it last. If you're going to use flagstone, do it last. Okay, Michael Trunkale. Our remodel, the biggest hurdle I have is how do I ensure we have power and internet during the remodel? Power is overhead. I will have a shed office and live in RV during RV side office S. You can have what's called temp power. A lot of jurisdictions will not give you permanent power because that goes with the certificate of occupancy, typically in a lot of different areas. So just ask for temp power. I was just called by the power company this morning, and they called me and they let me know that they put temp power on a job, and you can see it right there.
He's looking.
And it has to be called temp power. I ordered perm power, and they told me I need to call the county. It has to be temp power because perm power is with the CO, not with the temporary use of power. So it's the wording you're using. Make sure you say I just need temp power, and you'll want a 50 amp service breaker for that RV. But don't tell them you're going to have an RV there. Just say I need a 50 amp service, and then two 20 amp circuits on there for 2 plugs, and then another one for a 50 amp plug, and you'll be just fine with an RV there. Okay. Sean White, thanks for clarification. We call the EIFs not Stucco in Maryland.
Okay.
Oh, okay, very good.
There's lots of people asking. Okay, is
that it?
Yeah, they're having a conversation here. So
Okay.
Okay, it says it's fine Castle Road. So assume the utility already has right away. Yeah, okay. Was surprised this became an issue. The subdivision owner has been trying to get this figured out too. I started to help figure it out. Yeah, that subdivision developer needs to kind of kick in and solve some of that problem for you. Okay, I chatted with electric, like Licking Valley, and they told me the pole options and who I'd need easements from. It's very rural. I really, that's weird. I just met with my power company, and they walked across the street, and they says, we'll put a pole right here, 10 feet into somebody else's yard. And they have that full right because they control all the power of every service. So it's weird that the power company is saying that you need to go get an easement. Really, it should be their situation. Put more pressure on the developer who did that subdivision. I put as much pressure as I can back on them, and it should really help you out. So, and don't say I'll take care of it. The minute you do, they drop their energy, they drop their enthusiasm to try to help you. Don't do that. Keep the pressure on them to try to figure something out. Okay. When you do that, you're going to be in a much better position. Always keep people's energy. It's like a carrot and a stick. Always keep their energy toward you. Keep it focused on what you want as much out of them as possible. Like I just left a job. My geotech wasn't going to come back up to do a compaction test. The guys were roaming around, didn't know what to do. I go, guys, I want you to bury that water line. I want you to reroute this drainage field, and I want it all buried today. Get it all compacted. And by the way, use that sand over there and blah, blah. I keep them active. It's the same thing with this developer. Keep that developer actively engaged in trying to solve a problem that really was his responsibility. Okay. All right. Any other questions we have?
That's it.
Well, good. We'll just end 5 minutes early and we'll have a nice evening of it. We'll be here again next week from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Really excited about it. And go to the link on Amazon. I really do believe this book will help you out, helps you understand personality traits and their character traits and how to identify them. You need all the help you can get as an owner builder to read people, read estimates, and make decisions based upon the personality you met and those estimates that come in there. And that book will really help you out a lot. Till then, next time, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys here next Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. See you then.